as we give thanks to God for our mom's 95 years of life. We want to thank Father Peter Lachon, who has been an important part of our family since he and my brother Tom were in 6th grade. Before Mass, Peter asked me, how would you want me to refer to your mom? I said, well, Peter, she would be a broken boy. He said, Mrs. Kahn. I said, well, that's Mrs. Kahn. We thank Father Martha, too, for celebrating. My mom always used to refer to you as her pastor and DVR. And the senior and Father, thank you so much for being here. We want to especially thank Mother Selene and all the little sisters of the Lord for their example, care, love, and witness, and everything they, the staff, and the residents here at Queen of Peace did to make my mom's life here so really wonderful. In a very special way, we want to thank Sister Gabriel. Sister Gabriel has really become our sister, and we love her. Really loves Sister Gabriel, even though quite often it is quite on. She often said to me, well, if you really want to know how I'm doing, just ask Sister Gabriel, she knows everything. This morning's first reading from the book of Ecclesiastes reminds us that for everything there is a season, a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to love and a time to peace. The past 95 years have been our mom's time, and for her and for us, it was a time marked by great love, sacrifice, deep personal faith, hard work, a keen intellect, and high expectations. Sunday morning I was sitting with her, and she said, you know, I've had a wonderful life. And I said, I know, you've been spoiled your whole life. There's no way, in a few brief moments, that I can ever adequately do justice to that wonderful life. A life first molded in a loving family on 33rd Road in Flushing with Mom and Poppy and Aunt Hannah. A life of 65 years of marriage with Dad and being a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother to us. A life so centered on her church, and then her work as personal assistant to the Jesuits on Long Island, and later on when she managed to pastor the care office at St. Francis Hospital. Our mom was truly an elegant woman. Dad often said that he married the prettiest girl in the class. She always prided herself on her personal appearance. She always would look great. In fact, one afternoon, I had come home early from work and called her up, and she appeared at the top of the stairs at our home in Manhasset, dressed in a beautiful outfit, wonderful earrings, high leather boots, and a toilet brush in her hands. I asked her, what are you doing? She said, I'm just doing a little cleaning. I said, dressed like that? She said, you don't know what's going on. Several months ago, Tom more willing to try different things like ceramics and Sister Rose. I said, well, that's correct. And he said he marveled at the fact that at 95, he was still reading a whole week. Our mom was a woman who, despite her increasing frailty, kept our world wide. She even at 90 decided to change her name. For 90 years, she was known as Betty. And one day she surprised us. And no offense to my sister to me. She said, I never loved that name. I said, after 90 years of course. She said, well, this is the time. I'm 90 and I don't like the name. She said, from now on, I want to be known as Elizabeth. So she was. And that's how everyone here at Queen of Peace came to know her. Father Pedro Arrué, the former Superior General of the Jesuits, once wrote of the importance of falling in love. He said, nothing is more practical than finding God. That is to say, than falling in love in a quite absolute final way. What you're in love with, what seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you'll do with your evenings, how you spend your evenings, what you read, who you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love. Stay in love. It will decide everything. Love truly decided everything for Mom in each of the seasons of her life, and today we pay her tribute. Her memory will always be part of our lives, and her story will be retold whenever the family gathers. She loved Dad. She loved Aunt Pat, Mary Lou, Tom, Betty, Mary Ann, and Julie, and me so much. She loved her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren, and delighted in seeing the Facebook pictures of Jack, Charlotte, and Jacob Thomas. For everything, there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. This morning, we do not celebrate the end of the seasons of Mom's life, but we celebrate that they continue in each of our lives, for she will continue to live through us. The lessons that she taught, the example that she gave, the love that she offered, is her legacy to us. And today she would tell us to love each other, to take care of each other, and not to forget the underlying principles of her life, of faith and love of God and her family. Elizabeth, thanks for a life well lived. Thanks for being our mom.